Welcome to the Applied Research Center Open House and Stellar NFT session on Saturday, August the 28th, 2021. It's 11 a.m. Arizona time and Pacific time. My name is Jay Carpenter, founder of Desert Blockchain, and this is our weekend session. This will be for about 3 hours from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the way it's going to go is we're going to have an hour-long session, which will be a workshop conducted by Shane Sandler of CryptoCannoneer. And he's going to be showing a really cool project, which is a target range with a couple launchers. One launches objects like tennis balls, and the other is a water cannon. And that is tied to the Stellar network. And Shane's going to be showing specifically today how you can create your own non-fungible token on the Stellar network, an NFT as they're called. We'll do that for about an hour, and then we're going to have lunch here at Desert Blockchain Camp, which is about 27th Avenue and Camelback in Phoenix, Arizona. And all this information, by the way, is below the YouTube in the details, this live stream. So we'll be having some lunch, and we'll be talking about a program that we've highlighted here at Desert Blockchain, which is the state of Arizona. The Arizona legislature has allocated $5 million this year in 2021 in matching funds. Half of it funds blockchain research projects for 2 years, and the other half funds wearables projects for 2 years. So we'll be talking about that, and the intention of these sessions, and we're going to be having these every Saturday between now and the end of October, which is when the initial stage of the application session closes. The idea is for the community to come together here in Arizona and perhaps beyond and form teams, because in order to qualify for these funds, there has to be a variety of participants, such as a nonprofit, academic institutions, a principal investigator, entrepreneurs, programmers, all sorts of folks. So we'll be talking about that starting around an hour into this, about 12, and we'll go for a couple hours. And this is the first session we've had like this, but if you're interested in participating in this, this is your opportunity to learn about what the opportunities are, what the funding, how the funding works, and more importantly, to connect with others in the community that might be part of your application process. And even if you don't choose to apply, this is a great way to network. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to talk about ideas, new things that can be created using blockchain and wearables, and maybe blockchain combined with wearables. So there's also a $500,000 still available from the 2019 program, and we'll talk about that a little bit. It has slightly different characteristics. So that's what's in store for today, and we'll be having another session a week from today, very similar to this, and we encourage you to participate either on the live stream or via Zoom if you're a Desert Blockchain citizen. So I'm going to turn it over to Shane Sandler of CryptoCannoneers, and he is going to talk about his project and how you can create non-fungible tokens on the Stellar network. So thank you for tuning in, and go ahead and take it away, Shane.
Thank you, Jay. Like you said, my name is Shane. I go by Blockshangerous on the internet. And welcome to our stream about NFTs, specifically on Stellar. So you've possibly heard a lot about NFTs lately, and I'm going to briefly explain how they're going to be worked into my project, and then we'll get into some of the backend on how to make your own and the different networks available. So if you don't know anything about my project here, CryptoCannoneer, it's basically a live stream shooting gallery game where people can fire tennis balls at targets here in this warehouse. This one that's moving right now can't reload itself yet, but currently under development is this one right over here, which you can see that can fire on its own. So you can see it reloading again up there in the top left corner. And so the reason the NFTs are important to this game is because you're going to be able to earn NFTs as achievements instead of, what you might be familiar with on traditional gaming platforms, where like if you play on Steam or on another online platform, you might be able to earn badges or rewards or things for accomplishing certain in-game tasks. And in this game, they're all going to be on the blockchain as tradable NFTs. Fire that again. So you would get an award there for like hitting that target, and you would get proof of it on the chain as an NFT. So that's why NFTs are relevant to my project. So let's get into a little bit more about NFTs. So if you have no familiarity with NFTs at all, the NFT stands for non-fungible token. So fungibility is a financial term that basically means things can be traded and they're more or less identical. So if someone hands you a $1 bill, it is essentially identical to any other $1 bill. It doesn't matter. You can swap them. They can be used interchangeably. They're essentially all the same. And that's what fungibility means. So non-fungible tokens are the opposite. It means that every single item is unique. They can be completely told apart, and they are not interchangeable. So in terms of non-fungible tokens, when we're dealing with art, which is a lot of what the popular items have been coming out lately, that can be equated to essentially like print numbers, as would be relatable to like a physical art medium. So when somebody, like an artist, creates an art piece, the original is typically far more valuable than any of the prints. And say like the first edition of the print is more valuable than the second edition, and so on and so forth. So that is why the uniqueness of non-fungible art tokens is important, so that you can distinguish what the first edition is and establish that sort of rarity and that chain of importance. So the other aspect of non-fungible tokens is that they are indivisible, just like a piece of art. It can't be divided into smaller increments. There are people working on ways to invest in fractionalized NFTs, but that's essentially the equivalent of investing in a fraction of a house. You might be able to own a part of it, but as far as the actual object, it's not going to be divided up. You're not going to take a single brick out of a house and walk away with it. So that's really important. Those are the two major aspects of a non-fungible token, is that it's unique and that it's indivisible. And so when we're talking about blockchain NFTs, they are also really easy to be traded. And that's a really useful aspect of NFTs, is just like any other coin or token built on a blockchain network, they can be moved instantly over the internet. They can be traded for other assets. And so that is where non-fungible tokens get really exciting. I'm going to fire this cannon again just because I want to. I'm really excited about having that automatic reloading mechanism working. Oh, I'm going to go turn that off though. All right. I will be getting a quieter compressor soon for dealing with that. Okay, so anyways, diving back into NFTs. Let me go ahead and share my computer screen with you all, and then we can get on with the demo. Let's see here. I want to share my whole screen. All right, there we go. You should be able to see my screen. Don't need to see Telegram anymore. So depending on what blockchain network you're wanting to interact with, will likely dictate what NFT marketplace you're going to want to use. Most people don't have any desire to interact with the raw data of NFTs. They want to see it presented in a beautiful UI, and who can blame them? So one of the most popular NFT markets out there is called OpenSea. This is primarily Ethereum based. I think they have implemented some layer 2 chains, like you can get some of their NFTs on Matic and some of the other sort of cheaper layer 2 solutions on Ethereum. So this is what OpenSea Marketplace looks like. They've got a nice UX, a nice UI, and it's got a lot of popularity. So you can get a lot of eyes on your art. If you make things here, you can see the prices. You can see if you click on an individual NFT. You can see the price history. You can see any offers that people are making for it. And so the only real catch and problem that I have with markets like OpenSea is that they're based on Ethereum, and Ethereum is very expensive. Transaction fees were hitting up to $80 recently per operation. And so so an operation on Ethereum network just means like one line of code basically. So that might be if you're simply just sending a token somewhere, that's your transaction fee. But if you're trying to interact with a more complicated smart contract, like buying an NFT or trading on a decentralized exchange, like I'm blanking on the popular one right now on Uniswap. If you're trying to trade on Uniswap, you might be calling 5 or more operations. So with $50 or $50 to $80 per operation, it could be $300 just to make a bid on an NFT on OpenSea, which in my opinion is completely ludicrous. So there are plenty of other networks with lower transaction fees and that can make this much easier and more accessible for newcomers to crypto or small artists or people who are trying to bootstrap and launch new startups. One of those popular chains is Wax. If you aren't familiar with Wax, it's basically a hard fork of the EOS network, or EOS, depending on your preferred pronunciation. And Wax is gaining a ton of popularity in the NFT space, largely due to its transaction fees. They're basically non-existent. It's super cheap. I think it's less than $1 to interact with Wax and to move assets around. I haven't actually minted my own Wax NFTs before, but I believe it's pretty affordable. So this is what the most popular market. So Atomic Hub here is the most popular NFT marketplace on Wax. And this is what this marketplace looks like. Pretty similar. You know, you can see the images that are associated with it. You can see the prices. Let's take a look at this one. You can see the mint. This is what I was talking about as far as like what edition this is. And you can see all the information that is available for it, including price history, you know, similar items, all that type of stuff. So these are wonderful. I'm a big fan of the Wax Atomic Hub marketplace. I have a few NFTs in this on this chain. But today we're specifically going to be talking about NFTs on Stellar. So one of the most popular marketplaces on Stellar is Lightmint. Stellar NFTs are relatively new to the Stellar network. And Stellar isn't necessarily the most suited network to minting NFTs. There's a little bit of complications on the developer side, but they are really, really useful from the user perspective because of the cheapness of transactions on Stellar and due to the accessibility of the Stellar decentralized exchange, which allows you to interact with any other asset on the Stellar network, which is super useful. So here's the Lightmint Exchange, and it looks pretty similar to any of the other ones that we've looked at. You know, you can click on items, you can see how many have been minted, you can see their price history, all that good stuff. Looks like our internet's being a little bit slow in here. We'll let that load. So on the Lightmint marketplace, you can see the author and, you know, all of these related items, just like a lot of these other marketplaces. There we go. Let's load it up. When it says here one, it's saying that there's only one of these NFTs. It is unique. It's one of a kind. And the account is unlocked, so that could be changed. So as far as getting into the back end on Stellar NFTs, we can go ahead and look at this NFT specifically on the Blockchain Explorer. So we'll go to stellar.expert, which is just my preferred Stellar block explorer, and we'll paste that issuer in. As we discussed in the previous stream, Stellar is a little bit different than some other blockchain networks in that there are no dedicated smart contracts. All smart contract functionality is handled by accounts. So when you want to see who created a token, or in this case, an NFT, you go to the account that created it. So this is the issuing account for that card 0063 NFT is what it's officially called on the blockchain. And you can see all the information about this NFT and if it's had any trade history, if there's any offers available on it. All that information is available both on the Blockchain Explorer and visualized in another way here on the NFT Marketplace. So one of the interesting facets of NFTs on Stellar is you may notice here that the median balance looks like this, which might be a little bit off-putting. So the reason that is because of the stipulation that I stated at the beginning about NFTs is they need to be indivisible. So most blockchain networks and most tokens on blockchain networks can be divided into extremely small increments. For Stellar, it is, I believe, 7 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So 7 decimal places is how far Stellar assets can be divided. So when you get all the way out to that 7th decimal place, that is no longer divisible. So in order to create an NFT on Stellar that is truly indivisible, you have to create 0.0000001 of that token. And that means that token can never be divided. And that is the smallest amount on Stellar. It's called a stroop, a single stroop. The equivalent being Satoshis on Bitcoin. 1 sat can no longer be divided, even though that's no longer entirely the case. 1 sat can't be divided on Bitcoin's mainnet, but people can divide it up even smaller on like second layers and like fractionalized solutions like that. So anyways, so what this UI here is doing for Stellar, when it's saying that there's 1 of this NFT, it's actually saying there's 0.0000001 of this token on the Stellar network, card 0063. So that's a little bit into the weeds if you care about the actual back end on that stuff. So the way that most Stellar marketplaces are being developed is that if you're claiming that it's an NFT and it has 0.00001 of that NFT, it'll just display as 1 of that NFT versus an asset like this one, where it said that it had 5 minted. It looks like it's going to take a minute to load again, but we can pull it up on the blockchain network or on the blockchain explorer. So this one, let's see. So assets issued by this account, they just called it NFT. Interesting. I would want it to be a little bit more unique than that. And it looks like we can go to asset holders. And you can see, so there's some complications. Like I said, NFTs are still new to Stellar Network. So a lot of the UIs and things are trying to catch up. So like Stellar Network here is, or Stellar Expert here is rounding these balances. So they probably are each 0.00001, a single one of these NFTs, but it's rounding it off. So it's just showing a 0. If we go to that actual account, we should be able to see the real balance. So this guy's got quite a few NFTs. So all of these, 1 stroop of these assets that you're seeing are single NFTs. So the other qualm that I have with the current state of NFTs on Stellar is that Lightmint specifically, which is unfortunate because it's the most popular marketplace on Stellar, isn't truly doing unique NFTs. So when you go to mint an NFT on Lightmint, if you choose to do more than 1 version or 1 print basically of that NFT, they're not going to be unique. They're actually all the exact same and they're technically fungible. So in my opinion, those NFTs are not true NFTs. But there are ways to do it on Stellar. Let me pull up my website real quick. So the NFT multi-maker that is a part of the Stellar Red node Redflow that I've released, it's open source and available for you all, can create truly unique NFTs on Stellar. So this is one of mine. Let me pull it up on Stellar Expert. Oh, it looks like I could have been clicking that link this whole time. It's got a little pop out. So this is one of the NFTs that I created on using the Stellar Red Node Red interface that I've talked about a few times in the past. So we can go to the issuing account. And so you can see here how each of these assets are listed. So that is my preferred methodology for creating truly unique NFTs on Stellar. So even though these are all based on the same photo, they're all the same art, there's different versions, different prints, if you will, different editions. So those are actually all their own unique Stellar assets, and they've been named with the number of their print on them. And so in that way, you can create truly unique, customly identifiable NFTs on Stellar. So I'm hoping that soon Lightmint will be implementing this methodology to create unique NFTs when people want to create multiple prints of them. And Lightmint Marketplace is still in beta, so they are still improving their products and their methodologies. And I'm hopeful that soon they will be implementing something like this, at least to create truly unique NFTs with versions or prints, if you will. So anyways, getting back into the actual Lightmint flow. So here we are on Lightmint. Since our internet's being kind of slow, I'm going to kind of keep jumping between these two tabs. So when you get to Lightmint, you can go back to the main page, you can look around, you can explore the marketplace, or you can start to create your own tokens. So you just go right here to mint token. And this is taking a while to load. So I'll go back to this tab where I've already loaded it up. And so after that widget there loads, it asks you to connect your wallet. So just like it should be a pretty similar experience if you've had experience on other NFT marketplaces like Atomic Hub or OpenSea. You can connect a wallet through a multitude of ways. So you can use hardware wallets, which is definitely the most secure. If you really know what you're doing, you can use an external wallet and you can basically give it your public address and then your private address. So for example, if we wanted to, let's say, let's click on this one. Let's see where this asset is right now. So the current holder of this NFT is this wallet. And this is a wallet that I control. This is a wallet where all of my unsold NFTs are currently being held. So they're all for sale. And so I can take this wallet's public address and put it into right here. And this will give the wallet address. And that should work. Let's see what it does. I have to hit enter. Wallet settings. Things are not, there we go. It's just taking a minute. I believe I had to hit enter there to get that to connect. And so then the preferred methodology, if you really want to get into this, is to use a browser extension. The one that is common, the most popular for Stellar. Actually, I don't know if it is the most popular, but it is connected to Lightmint. So that is useful, is Freighter. If you're familiar with the Ethereum ecosystem, you're probably familiar with MetaMask, which is the popular browser extension that people use for interacting with their wallets on Ethereum. And the nice thing about working with a browser extension is that it's not only is it intuitive and a nice UX, but you never have to enter your secret key anywhere. So the way that I'm going through this right now, I'm not going to actually finish creating this NFT, but I would have to enter my secret key in order for the token to actually get minted. And that is not the most secure practice. Most of the time it's fine, but if something happens, like if the DNS on the website gets hijacked, or if the encryption is bad and somebody is able to intercept those packets, they could theoretically unencrypt your secret key and steal all your tokens and have total access to your wallet. So it's generally considered a not secure practice to enter your secret key on any website. And I agree with that. So it's far more secure to use something like a hardware wallet or a browser extension that protects your secret keys and only it signs the transactions for you. So you never have to enter your secret key on any website. So anyways, moving on with this little Lightmint demo here. So the next step on creating your NFT is to choose a file. So in this case, we're just working with images, and it looks like Lightmint also supports video files now. So that's cool. So if you aren't an artist and you are still interested in getting into minting NFTs, something that I can recommend is something called public domain images, or photos. So public domain means that either the copyright has expired or it never had copyright to begin with. So these all images in the public domain are available to be used both privately and commercially. And so you can just search for public domain images, and there's all sorts of great things. We could use any of these images here. These were all released by their photographers with no copyright. And as I was Googling this morning, I found a cool thing. Apparently, Smithsonian Museum has released almost 3 million images with totally no copyright. They're totally free of commercial use copyrights. So I found this cool little coin box, which I thought was relevant for this demo here, since we're talking about tokens and NFTs. So we'll go ahead and use this image. I've already downloaded it. So we'll go back here. We'll choose our file. I'll just pull it up right here. Already got it open. We should be able to drag and drop it. Go ahead and stick that in there, and we can go ahead and mint it. And we can call this Coinbox NFT. The one stipulation here would be that tokens on Stellar can have a maximum of 12 characters. So we're right at the edge there. That's what, 7, 10. So if we had a 10 character NFT name like this, we could even include 2 numbers to create the version number if you wanted to create multiple truly unique NFTs with the actually being truly different tokens. So you can put in a description, NFT demo, number of tokens. I'm just going to leave it at 1 since I don't really like the way that Lightmint currently creates multi-supply NFTs. It's not really going to matter because we're not actually going to make this. This question here about the Stellar TOML is about how people get more information about your asset on the blockchain. So TOML files are actually stored off-chain. But for example, when you look at this NFT, this is one of my NFTs, the information you see here, the organization metadata and the currency metadata, this is all hosted in the Stellar TOML file. So we can look at that, nft.blockchain.well-known/stellar.toml. So this is the actual raw text of the TOML file that's hosted on my website. And this is giving all the information about all the different NFTs that I have available and various currencies and just all the information that I basically listed to interact with the Stellar blockchain. So this is specifically that asset we were just looking at, Stellar Red 00. Or actually this is Cannoneer 00. But so this is how all this information actually gets on chain. And that is what allows it to be searchable by explorers for the Stellar Marketplace, for the actual Stellar decentralized exchange. If you want your assets to be searchable, you have to have the information available in your TOML file. So anyways, that's what this is asking about. They recommend that you leave it off because they just kind of Lightmint, trying to make things a little bit more easy for beginners. They kind of handle the TOML files for you. If you want to host your own, you can click that and put in your domain. So for me, I would probably host my own and I would put it as my own domain. And then we'd be ready for launch. And so there we go. We could have gone back and put in some more, like a full description. This is a demo NFT. And then we would be ready to mint. Let's see what it's going to ask. So it's currently posting that image to IPFS, which if you don't know anything about IPFS, I highly recommend you look into it. It is IPFS stands for Interplanetary File System. It's the associated network with Filecoin, which has been having a great year. Filecoin is great. It's sort of like a decentralized internet backbone. It allows you to store files that can be accessed from anywhere, and they don't have to have a dedicated server hosting them. Anybody can host the files and anybody can access them. So that is a very cool way for hosting things that could theoretically live on forever. You know, even if, so like if I hosted this image on my own website, or if I pulled it straight from this image source right here, that could potentially go down. You know, if my website goes down, or if the Smithsonian website goes down, then, you know, if that NFT on the chain would be referring to an image that no longer exists. And IPFS gets around that problem because those images should always exist as long as someone is supporting access to it. But the link will always exist. And even if the file has to be restored at some point, the link will still be good. So that's why people really like to use IPFS for hosting NFT images and songs and whatever other type of data they want to turn into an NFT. IPFS is by far the most popular choice, and it's typically the only option that's integrated into these nice UI marketplaces. So anyways, my next step would be to sign this transaction. And this is actually new on Lightmint. This didn't exist a few months ago. This is nice. So if you were comfortable putting your secret key into this website, that's where you would put it here, and it would sign and submit the transaction for you. If you wanted to use your own, if you wanted to input your secret key somewhere else, you could use this link right here. Oh, this is really nice. They've really fleshed this out. This is what I would personally do if I wasn't using Freighter, is I would pull the XDR here, which basically this is the transaction all built out, and then we can sign it right here in Stellar Laboratory, the official Stellar front end for interacting with your wallet. And this actually gives us some nice information about exactly what's going to be happening in this transaction before we sign it. So you can see everything that's going on. So it's going to create a new account, and that's going to be the account that actually issues the NFT so that it can be unique. And then it's going to, looks like, what do we have here? Change trust. So that's what we went over in some of the previous sessions about how Stellar actually creates assets. It has to use the original account to actually send the asset from the issuing account. And then it will actually do that send, and then it will set up all the data associated with the IPFS link and the trust line. So that's what that account would, or that transaction would do if you go ahead and sign it and confirm it, and it would submit it. It looks like we've got a few other options for signing and submitting as well. So Lightmint has really done a great job here of fleshing out the options for how you can sign, which I am a big fan of. So that is great. So if we'd actually gone ahead and gone through with that, it would go ahead and mint. I have some NFTs that I have minted through Lightmint. So let me pull some of those up so you can see what they would actually look like. Let's see. Actually, I can just search it right on the Lightmint Marketplace. Let's see, Stellar Red. So here are some, so these are actually NFTs that I minted using my Stellar Red UI. And these are actually unique, one-of-a-kind NFTs that I've then imported into Lightmint, which is really nice of them to allow you to import NFTs that are created outside of their ecosystem, because then I can use my own methodology for creating my truly unique NFTs, which I'm a big fan of. Let's see, what was I'm actually looking for. Actually, I can go back to my own website here, and I know that some of them are showing. Here we go. This is what I wanted. So these I actually minted using the Lightmint interface. And so you can see this one has 50 and this one has 500. Both the issuing accounts are locked, so the supply cannot be increased. So let's go ahead and just open this one up. And we'll pop it up on Stellar Expert. And so you can see here, if you actually went through and minted those NFTs, you would see this is exactly what that would end up looking like. It would go ahead and mint those tokens and send them to your account. And so you can see here, this is the asset. This is the issuing account. So this is the account that it creates in order to create a unique identifier for the NFT. And then after it sends the NFTs to your distribution account, it locks the account. So you can see that it's locked and no more of these NFTs can be created. And then, so we can go ahead and take a look at the actual NFT and we can see who's holding them. So this is so someone has bought, it looks like one of them. And then this is my distribution account that is holding the other 49 of them. So you can see there, that is how it was created. So I created this account a while back. And then this is the beginning of the transaction from Lightmint that actually created these Red Horizon NFTs. So we can click on this transaction and you can see exactly what happens when Lightmint mints an NFT. So like I said, creates a new Stellar account, establishes the trust line, sends them over, and manages the data on the issuing account, and then locks the account. So that's exactly what would happen if you went ahead and submitted this transaction that we just used Lightmint to create. And so that is pretty much exactly what you have to do to start minting NFTs on Lightmint. Next time, I will try to get everything set up on my own NFT minting software so that we can do a demo on that. I don't have it loaded up right now, and it would take me a few minutes to get that going. And I think that there are some better uses of our time here today. So we won't do that today. Let's see, what else would we like to explore with this? So something else that might be of interest on Lightmint is that as far as actual trading goes on Lightmint, once you've actually minted your NFT, you can set it up that you want to sell it for a specific price. Let's see here. I think that they're listed. All right, so this widget right here is how you can do buying and selling. And this is actually just a direct connection to the Stellar decentralized exchange, which is really cool. This is just a front end. You know, Lightmint doesn't have to do any of the back end on as far as the actual trade process, whereas some of these other marketplaces like Atomic Hub and OpenSea either have to manage the buying, trading, full back end on their own, or they have to be reliant on some other decentralized exchange or some other way of handling the actual auctioning process. So that's one of my favorite things about working with Stellar is that all of that financial backend is handled by the Stellar network and the Stellar decentralized exchange. So Lightmint is also implementing auctions, which is very cool that they're developing that so that if you wanted to mint a NFT and immediately put it up for auction and just sell it to the highest bidder, that will soon be available on Lightmint. It is also, you can also be managed manually currently using the Stellar decentralized exchange, either by setting up time-controlled contracts to just sell after a certain amount of time, or just allowing offers to come in and then just making a matching offer at the end of your specified auction time. So those are some of the cool features about some NFTs on Stellar. Let me see. I'm trying to think of where else I can show you. So one cool thing about NFTs on Stellar is that any NFT that you create is another asset on the Stellar network, just like all of the fungible assets on the Stellar network. They all live side by side on directly on the Stellar network, and they aren't separated out. So one complexity you might have when working with, say, like Ethereum NFTs is that most Ethereum assets are the ERC20 standard versus most Ethereum NFTs, I believe, are the ERC 721 standard. And so they aren't directly interfaceable. Whatever marketplace you're working on has to be able to interface between your like Ethereum assets. Like let's say you wanted to buy it with USDC, that's an ERC20 asset, and it has to interface with the NFT asset, which is a different standard, which just adds more complexity, in my opinion, than on Stellar Network, where all assets are simply Stellar assets. So you can trade Stellar NFTs for any asset. It looks like they haven't released this feature on their main website yet, but I have seen a demo from Lightmint where you can change your the token that you want to see pricing in to any other Stellar asset. So that means, you could see the NFT prices in USDC, you could see NFT prices in Doge token, you can see the prices in any asset. So that's what's really cool about that, is that people are starting to work on like tokenized stocks and all sorts of things like that on Stellar. So the demo that I saw from Lightmint was they changed their pricing to Tesla stock. So you could have a tokenized version of Tesla stock on the Stellar network, and you can, now get all your pricing for NFTs in Tesla stock. So that's just like a really fun, kind of cool, and in my opinion, really powerful feature that allows you to directly interface from any Stellar asset to any Stellar NFT, because they all are following the same standard. So what I was getting at there was that if we take this issuing account here and we copy that issuing account and we put it into a Stellar, and we put it into a Stellar DEX UI, then we can see, let's see if I can type. So here's all the NFTs that are associated with the Toml account on my website. And, we can click on one. Stellar term here, if you're not familiar, is just a popular way to interface with the Stellar decentralized exchange. And, we can see the trade history against any other asset, like I was saying. So we can look at it against Lumens, which is the Stellar native asset, or you can look at it against USD. You can look at it against literally any asset on the Stellar network, including tokenized Bitcoin, tokenized Ethereum, anything that's available. So, and those all utilize a feature of the Stellar network called path payment, which is a really powerful feature that allows you to basically sell any asset for any other asset using any order book. So basically, if let's say I wanted to sell, or I wanted to buy this NFT with an obscure token, like let's say this tokenized silver, and there's no order book, as you can see. So basically what path payment would do, it would go through any other order book. So it might end up having to do 3 or 4 swaps. So it might sell this silver for USDC, and that USDC for lumens, and then those lumens for turret token, all in one transaction with basically no fees. Like if you had to do if you wanted to trade, do like a multi-asset swap like that using like Uniswap on Ethereum, that could be 5 operations per trade. And if you need to do 3 or 4 trades, you could be looking at 15 to 20 operations, which lately operations on Ethereum have been costing around $10, and they've been spiking up to almost 100. So you can see that a single trade that utilized multiple asset order books like that could cost hundreds of dollars on a network like Ethereum, which is entirely infeasible, especially for people who are just getting into this, who are trying to build things like I am, that are really experimental and reliant on microtransactions. So like the process that I was just talking about, if it needed 4 trades, each operation on Stellar, it costs 100 stroops, which is 0.00001 lumens. Lumens these days are floating around 30 cents. So I think that's about 10,000 transactions a cent. Lightmint does a good job of focusing on that. As you can see here, the transfer cost is that amount of cents, which is, tens of thousands per cent. And then the only reason that the minting cost is $1, even though minting only takes 5 transactions, is because the Stellar network also requires a minimum balance to have a Stellar account open, and that's just 1 lumen. And so I believe that this minting cost is primarily coming from, I think that the way that Lightmint utilizes their minting is it requires 3 accounts. Each account has to have 1 lumen in it, which is about 30 cents. So that gets you to about 90 cents, and then, a little bit in transaction fees. So, but I'm still real happy with that $1 to mint, as opposed to what might be hundreds on other networks. Let's see. So, like I was saying, yeah, you can trade with any other asset on the Stellar network. And I think that is about all that I had planned for today's Stellar NFT demo. Something worth mentioning is that there are a few other Stellar NFT marketplaces that are gaining popularity. And like I said, NFTs are new on Stellar. And so the space is rapidly developing, and Stellar has a fair amount of funding opportunities for people working on NFTs. I've just entered a contest myself, so hopefully my own NFT marketplace will be going into beta soon. And so this one here, Stellar NFT, is pretty cool. Give me just a moment to have a sip of water. Talking 1,000 miles an hour over here. So one thing I like about this Stellar NFT marketplace that Lightmint hasn't quite implemented yet is royalties. And that is something that is in my opinion, one of the most appealing aspects of NFTs in general that we haven't talked about. And so the concept of NFT royalties is basically that every time these NFTs are resold on the open market or traded, the original creator can get a cut. Which is really great for artists. They might sell an original art piece for $10 or $50, and one day it might get resold for thousands of dollars. And in the traditional art world, the artist might not ever see a penny of that massive increase in price. But with blockchain and NFTs specifically, that royalty can be immutable and unavoidable and totally enforced. And that's a really cool feature of NFTs is those digitally enforced royalties. Stellar NFT has a version of royalties that as long as you keep your NFTs within the Stellar NFT marketplace here, the royalties will be enforced. However, Stellar has its own decentralized exchange, as I've mentioned a few times. And so those royalties are pretty easy to avoid by simply pulling those NFTs off of this Stellar NFT marketplace and then just trading them openly on the decentralized exchange. My NFT marketplace that I have coming up will not be a possibility. The royalties will be strictly enforced, and they won't be able to be traded on the open market without paying the royalty fee to the original creator. Not only are those royalties really great for artists and the original creators, but it allows for some really cool possibilities as far as NFTs go. Specifically, like Mark Cuban is looking into using that feature for ticketing. And there are actually a lot of people in the events world and the professional sports world who are really interested in NFTs as tickets, specifically because of that royalty enforcement. So basically the mindset behind that is that especially when there's like really good tickets or a sold out show, the event organizer doesn't get any of the markup when those tickets get scalped, or if those tickets get resold for 10 times as much as they originally sold for. The original creator wants to get a cut of that. And so now with royalty enforced NFTs, that is totally possible. And so if all tickets for events, whether they're sporting or concerts or whatever, have royalty enforced NFTs as their tickets, and people want to resell them for more or for less or for whatever reason, then the original creator can get a cut of those secondary sales, which is a very cool potential feature for creators and developers. And that is actually the primary profit model for my game here. So for my game, a lot of the NFTs are going to be earned or released for free and used for promotional material, but I'm always going to get a cut whenever they get resold. So that is a major profit stream that's designed into CryptoCannoneer here, is the secondary market for all of the NFTs that I create. And so that is just creating a lot of really interesting opportunities for, you know, new funding models and new business models. And essentially I'm using it as a way to monetize a free-to-play game. So the game is free to play, but whenever people want to buy and sell their NFTs that they earn, then they're going to have to give me a cut of those sales. So that is one of the most exciting things, in my opinion, about NFTs, particularly for ticketing and game assets, even for games that aren't like real in person, like mine, like totally digital games. They can still utilize all of those perks of NFTs for doing game assets. Because even when, you know, video game assets get popular, they can sell for a lot on eBay or wherever else. You know, people who are familiar with some of the older MMORPGs that existed, you know, people who resell high-level accounts on World of Warcraft or hard to find armor, or I guess some more popular, more relevant examples might be like Fortnite skins that are super rare. When people go to resell those on the open market, the original creators want to get a cut, and now they can.
Shane, did you, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead. I'm pretty much done.
Talk about NFTs applied to things like real estate.
No, I haven't talked about that. That's worth mentioning as well. Jay is over here mentioning some of the other uses for NFTs. I've talked about game assets. I've talked about art. I talked briefly about real estate. So there are really an incredible amount of possibilities here for the NFT space. I guess you don't need to see my screen anymore. Let's go ahead and switch this just over to me. So the NFT space is really diverse. People are using NFTs to tokenize real estate. They're using NFTs to tokenize carbon removal. So if you're familiar with green energy and sustainability, people like corporations need to get green energy credits so they can prove, you know, that they're trying to offset their carbon emissions. So NFTs have really a totally untapped potential as far as what can be tokenized that way and made to be unique. And whether you're utilizing royalties or you want to use NFTs to represent a piece of art. And so people are coming up with new uses for NFTs pretty much every day. Some of the more innovative ones that I've seen that I really like are associating NFTs with physical objects. So for example, a company building on Stellar, I'm blanking on who it is right now, created an NFT, TEE, as in like t-shirt. And these NFTs were redeemable for real t-shirts. And so I thought that is a fun kind of innovative concept on how to utilize NFT structure. And, you know, people really are coming up with new uses for NFTs every day. So one thing that I'm going to be implementing into CryptoCannoneer, which is different than my game asset NFTs, is target NFTs. So ultimately, we're going to be upgrading part of CryptoCannoneer to be using golf balls and targets that can be destroyed. And so you're going to be able to buy targets based on their NFT. So basically, I'm going to have an NFT for, say, keyboards or bottles. And if you buy a keyboard NFT, then I'll go ahead and put a keyboard out in the target range, and you'll be able to shoot at it with golf balls and destroy it. And so those are, I don't know of anybody else who's using NFTs in that way to represent a physical asset and sort of a service. In that way, the NFT represents the service of me, you know, going out and putting it into the target range. So
and for those that don't have a great aim, I think you're talking about having a hammer that drops down.
Yeah, we definitely want to do some BattleBots inspired traps and things. You know, we'd love to get a dunk tank involved. You know, we've got quite a few ideas here for how we can implement more fun interaction with the physical space, interacting with the digital space. So please stay tuned and look forward to some of those exciting things we have on the horizon.
Yeah, the other thing I'd like to mention, Shane, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
I know I'm talking off camera, this is a great way to teach your youth So this is a great way to teach the youth in your life about a bunch of things like the Internet of Things, about programming, about decentralization, cryptocurrency, gaming, all sorts of things. So what we would encourage you to consider is possibly bringing your youth, your sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, people that are younger, that are interested in learning. You can inspire them to create something that's really cool, really cutting edge here at Desert Blockchain Camp, and using the CryptoCannoneer target range and the whole platform that Shane has created and that others will be creating here at Desert Blockchain Camp. So I just wanted to mention that. Yep, our pizza's here. We
Awesome.
also have pizzas provided at noon on Saturdays. For anybody in attendance.
Just to tee off from what Jay just said there, I wanted to mention.
Pizza, by the way.
Ooh. So one thing I wanted to mention was that, especially for people who are learning or just starting to get involved in this, please utilize testnet. Stellar has an amazing testnet available, and you can do everything that I just did on the testnet, and you can get some practice without spending any real money or putting anything at risk. And then when you are ready to get involved on the main net, it's very simple to just switch it over, your processes over to the main Stellar net, and you can start getting minted. You can start minting NFTs on Stellar for only $1. So it's a very accessible way to get into the space. And we hope that you find some uses yourself and you've enjoyed this, and let us know what other types of demos and things you'd like to see in the future, and what we can do to keep creating helpful content for you all. I'm not sure if Jay has any other wrap up here. I think he's paying for pizza right now. So if not, I guess I'll see you next week. And I'm going to keep the live stream going for CryptoCannoneer. It's available on Twitch, and we'll probably be playing around in here for a little while, shooting some tennis balls and things like that. So go ahead and check that out on Twitch. Switch to that view. There's the links there. You can check it out on Twitch. You can control it with Telegram. Let me show you that again. Let's get a fire going. And we can go back to the controllable cannon, the turret. So come join us and come play around, and have a great day. See you later.
Right. Okay, so thank you for that workshop, Shane. That was really, really cool. And it ties into the next segment, which is talking about the Applied Research Centers program with 5 million in funding, new funding, matching funds for 2021. And then there's a remaining 500,000 in available funds from the 2019 program. So we're going to talk about that for the next 2 hours, and we're going to have some pizza, and help yourself to some pizza, Randy. So bear with us, hang in there, watch, and you're welcome to put your questions on the bear with me just a minute. You're welcome to post your questions on the live YouTube live stream in the chat. I am monitoring that. if you happen to be watching, or if you're watching next week. We're going to have these sessions every Saturday now until the end of October at least. And if you're interested in this program, we basically had two recent sessions. One was with some of the folks from the Arizona Commerce Authority in July, and that was July 28th. You can find that on our YouTube channel. And hey, you guys help yourself to pizza.
Thanks, Jack.
And that talks in detail about the ARC program, which stands for Applied Research Centers. And we just had a session on the 25th of August about real estate and blockchain. So as folks here grab some pizza, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Shane was just talking about in terms of non-fungible tokens and some projects that you might consider if you're watching this that could be interesting for this program. I just noticed that. Okay. So I'm going to move a board around so that maybe I can write, and maybe you, oh, there it is. It's actually in view. And talk about a few things. So, get this all framed up. So in the ARC program, well, let me just talk in general about what the opportunity is here. The ARC program and the Desert Blockchain Camp is an opportunity for the community in Arizona, the innovation community, to come together and to create something that has value, that could be scaled up, that actually could be an operating business going forward. So, right on the board a little bit, ARC, which stands for Applied Research Center, has $5 million, of which 2.5 million is for blockchain related projects over a 2-year period. And then the other $2.5 million is for wearable projects over, I'm going to turn on the fan. So $2.5 million for research in wearables. And in my view, and we haven't confirmed this with the Arizona Commerce Authority, the people that are managing this program for the state of Arizona and the funds that were allocated by the Arizona State Legislature, but we haven't confirmed this, but I think there could be a possibility of combining the blockchain and the wearables projects. So we'll have to investigate this, but your opportunity by following along on these events is to learn something, and like what Shane demonstrated today. And by the way, Shane has done a great job of showing a variety of topics that are educational over the past 4 or 5 weeks, and you can find those on our YouTube channel and also under the CryptoCannoneer Twitch feed and live stream and so forth, and Zoom. But so A, you can learn something. B, you can connect with people. And we've got some folks that are here today to meet one another. We've got some very talented people here that are knowledgeable on blockchain and are interested in considering being part of these projects. But the third is to explore funding. So we have this allocated amount of resources from the Arizona State Legislature, and between now and October 31st, there will be a window to form teams and apply for this funding. Now, part of the task is to find resources, i.e. money, that can match the funds that have been put up by the Arizona State Legislature. And that's part of what is available here. So these sessions are an opportunity to bring together people that are interested in decentralization and wearables, people that are interested in participating in the funding, and basically do some connections that are critical for this program to work and to fulfill the intention of fostering innovation in the realm of blockchain and technology, distributed ledger technology, and wearables. So let's talk about a few things, and I'm not sure how well, but okay, you can see this to some degree, but let's talk about specifically real estate. And this program is not confined to real estate. It's a wide open canvas where you can create projects in pretty much anything that involves decentralization, blockchain, or wearables. But let's talk about real estate, because we just had a great session on real estate and blockchain. What might be created here? Well, the session we just had on the 25th, last Wednesday, we talked about a hotel in Aspen, Colorado that was actually tokenized. And this is a real life project. You can watch the video. But that's something that could definitely be explored through this applied research centers funding and so forth. And a team could take whatever was done with the St. Regis Hotel in Aspen, Colorado, and possibly expand that out to a more generalized tokenization of real estate. It could be a refinement somehow. I don't know. It's really up to your imagination. The only thing that I'm laying out is some options and alternatives that you might consider. Title could be something. We have a lot of title companies here in Phoenix and Arizona. And Arizona was one of the first states to actually involve blockchain technology in the transfer of title for a piece of real estate. And this was done a few years ago. Vermont also did one of the first transactions of that type. And we did a session, if you look back, on blockchain, title transfer, and so forth. And you can find that in our archives. So that could be a topic. So tokenization of the investment side of real estate, tokenization and decentralization of the title transfer process. Excuse me. All of those are topics that could be applied. We also had a session by an associate in the Fibri ecosystem, which is a global blockchain and real estate community. Ranga, was talking about a new way to do identification of real estate elements, and there's some big advantages to that. Now, it's likely that Ranga and some others will put together a team and put that as a possible application candidate for the Applied Research Center's funding. But there's also an opportunity to involve an academic institution, possibly a nonprofit, a principal investigator, So we're going to be talking about all the different elements in these sessions and how people might come together and form teams, get funding, undertake research, and it's called research, but it's really more like an opportunity to create something that that is the prototype for an ongoing business or useful application. That's the real intention of this. It's not just pure research, abstract research, and so forth. So let me write these on the board. Real estate. And it would be funding. Could be title. Could be object identification. And those are just a few. So those are just examples to consider. And the canvas again is wide open. So I think I'm going to pause at this point for about 30 minutes, let's say. So at about 12:45, we'll resume. And what I would like to do is invite some of the people that are here to introduce themselves and say what sort of projects they might be interested in working on and what some of their talents and capabilities are. So I'm gonna pause right now. I'm gonna enjoy a little bit of pizza and then we'll resume in about 30 minutes. So let's say about 12:45. And that's, I invite you to tune back in, or you're welcome to watch or continue to just keep this on. So. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the sound, the audio. Okay, we are going to resume with our conversation and community portion and the Applied Research Center's portion. And this particular item, and we might be ending this a little bit early today, but hopefully this is going to give you an idea of what's available here through these sessions on Saturdays. But one of the most important things about these sessions is the opportunity to meet people. And I'm going to erase the board here. This chair. And we're going to introduce some of the folks that are here today that have an interest in participating in teams that are applying for the Applied Research Center's funding. So there are 4 of us here today, and each one of us is going to introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about what our interest is in blockchain and or wearables. Some of the folks here have technical talent in Internet of Things, which includes wearables and certainly blockchain. And basically introduce ourselves. We're going to compile a list of people, an ongoing list that will build. I also intend to invite companies that might have an interest in participating in this. I'm going to be reaching out, making some invitations for companies to participate, express their interest in the ARC program, and join us either virtually or in person, whatever works. And basically, raise your hand in the community and say, hey, I'm interested in participating in this endeavor. So I think what I'd like to do is introduce Shah and you know, tell us what your interest is and what your background is. And she has an incredible background, actually doctor. She has a PhD. So go ahead, Shah.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for giving me the chance to meet everybody. Hello, everyone. I'm Xia. I have over 20 years experience in academic community research scientist. I'm mainly just doing data process and analysis and publish, just papers in academic, journals. And since 2017, I started to have interest in blockchain technique, and I'm mainly working on develop a blockchain platform. And plus also I have, I spent several years in working on development of IoT platform. So just in recent years, I started just how to the application of blockchain, in real world. So.
And Shah has I'm talking just from the side here. Shah has an interest in sustainability and carbon removal, carbon trading, and all that. Basically green initiatives, which I think is really cool.
Yes.
And you were just telling us that you have an interest in artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And
I was very interested in that.
all that, and so.
Yeah, especially in carbon removal. My research is just in academic community. My research focus on the interaction between climate variation and carbon emission, fossil fuel emission, and emission from ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Cool.
If you have any question, you want to just feel free.
You speak fluent Chinese.
Yes, I'm a Chinese originally.
And you also speak Japanese, correct?
Yes, I got my PhD in Japan.
Okay, great.
So I have been here in this country for over 12 years. I'm really working. I have been working in university.
Mm-hmm. And you have a PhD in geophysics?
Oh yes, geophysics.
Mm-hmm. And an undergraduate in physics?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So that's impressive.
That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So So Shah will be joining us for these sessions, and I invite you to, if you have an interest in this area, come by and meet Shah, and yeah.
Thank you.
So, mhm.
Feel free
Cool. Randy,
to
you wanna-
contact me.
Cool. Thanks, Shah. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jay. Hi, my name is Randy Graham. And first and foremost, I'm a Cubs fan. I'm originally from the Midwest, Des Moines, Iowa. Recently let this all grow out just because I've transitioned out of Phoenix and I moved up to Whitman and am currently in the process of remodeling a home. So I'll give you background about myself. I started out as a framing carpenter right out of college. I have both an accounting and an IT Bachelor of Science degree. So my professional career, so I did framing for 5 years. My professional career, accountant, consultant, financial advisor in a variety of activities, but primarily in the healthcare industry, and including IT projects, implementation. So I did that for 25 years and been doing some of that consulting on my own on the side now as I'm transitioning into this concept of blockchain. So I'm heavily interested in and want to participate in the concepts of decentralization, self-sovereignty, homesteading, the ability to communicate offline and non-monitored centralized activities, specifically the social media that we all know about. And so I was attracted to Jay's Desert Blockchain group in late 2017 and have been pretty consistent in participating in a lot of the different projects Jay's been involved with. So I'm encouraged to continue to participate and very interested in anything we can develop together or come up with some ideas on attracting some corporate activity as well. So I'm definitely a resource that would be willing to participate in any of those activities, and strong accounting, consulting, financial, IT background is where my real expertise is.
And you do have a CPA.
Now, I do not have a CPA,
You
but
don't?
yeah, I've
Okay.
done all that work and I do taxes and been doing it for 25 years. So
And Randy's been experimenting and learning about Raspberry Pi, small board
absolutely. And so
computers.
I do have an IT background, but the personal web development and programming, the personal side, I'm developing now for really the first time. Done a lot of corporate data processing, SQL, SAS, and that type of stuff, and analytics on data. So I have that big picture framework as well. But now I'm more focused on participating in these smaller projects that allow us to express our freedoms and liberties and encourage each other to live our own lives as well.
Cool.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Randy. Shane?
Hi there. I guess I'm taller than most. You've probably seen me in a few streams already. I'm Shane. I go by Blockshangerous on the internet. My educational background is in mechanical engineering, film and media production, and business. And then professionally, up until Corona, I like to call it the before times, I was an AV technician for live events and concerts. I've been doing film, video, lights for music festivals and big concerts, things like that for about 10 years now. And since all of that has disappeared, I have really gotten back into cryptocurrency and blockchain. So in the last 3 or so years, I've gotten pretty well versed in Node-RED, blockchain, NFTs, some of the financial aspects. You know, I did have a financial background back when I did my business master's. So that is sort of my specialties there, I guess.
You want to talk about the project you'd be interested in pursuing?
Sure.
With the Applied
Yeah,
Research
so
Centers?
as far as the Applied Research Center goes with blockchain and wearables, so I'm really interested in developing a wearable hardware wallet, like an NFC bracelet for doing like ticketing at events and doing all sorts of merchandising at events. So essentially the concept would be to use either your phone or your bracelet to interact with all the vendors at an event, to hold your tickets, you know, if you have any VIP passes, and then hopefully we can incorporate in like NFT achievements and awards and things for, you know, interacting with the whole event space. I actually have a lot of history with Comic-Cons, both attending and working at them. And so I think that there's a really lot of potential for hardware wallets, NFC, and NFTs, all kind of combining together once like big conferences and conventions start to come back. So I'm hopeful to try to develop. Ideally, I want to do a multi-chain hardware wallet that can be used with near-field communication to do all sorts of point-of-sale merchandising and ticketing.
Yeah, but like everybody else, you're open to other ideas,
Absolutely.
other projects.
Yeah, for sure. So
So-
obviously my background is in events, and then my current project, CryptoCannoneer, which you saw earlier, is very much in the IoT and hardware realms, and then very much in like the NFT blockchain gaming space. So I have a fair amount of interests across the board.
And yeah, I would like to say that Shane, I introduced Shane to Node-RED, and I'm amazed at what you've learned and what you've built
Shane.
with it. It's really, really amazing. So, and Shane is interested in, you know, educating people with the game,
Yeah.
including youth.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm super passionate about education. Like Jay said, he introduced me to Node-RED 2 or 3 years ago, and I've put a lot of time into it and gotten a lot further. I have no traditional coding experience. I don't know how to code in any traditional language, but everything that I've built is built on Node-RED. And so that's definitely what I try to push, is like some of these new low code and no code platforms and interfaces, because they're just really accessible for non-coders.
And Shane is a master electrician for stage lighting. And,
Yeah. So
and
like,
so forth.
like I said, in events, like I was pretty deep in the events world back when that existed. You know, I've run lights for A-list concerts like, you know, Snoop Dogg and Post Malone. And I have, you know, my master electrician rating. So I've set up some very large events and music festivals and things like that, and been super involved in that space.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Shane. So I would like to say a few words about my role in this whole thing. I'm Jay Carpenter, and I am the founder of Desert Blockchain. But my interest is really in being like a facilitator. So at this point, I do not plan to be part of a team that applies for the ARC funding. My interest is really building up a camp and using this camp as a location to bring the community together, bring interested parties together, and facilitate education, connection, and funding using the Applied Research Center's program, both in wearables as well as blockchain. And hopefully you've gotten an idea out of the folks that have introduced themselves today that we have a really talented community here. And part of what's been missing is just a place for people to come together and work together and create something new. So that's going to be my interest. I'm interested in staying Swiss neutral to particular projects, but I really want to encourage teams and groups and people to get together and move things forward. So, excuse me. I don't see any items in the chat. It looks like folks have tuned in, tuned out. So I think we're going to wrap it up early today. Again, we're going to have these sessions every Saturday. Excuse me. So we're going to have these sessions every Saturday. They'll be live streamed. There'll be Zoom available if you're a Desert Blockchain citizen, which is $10 a month that you can sign up on Patreon. Everything is community supported. We don't take any sponsors. We want to keep it decentralized, the theme of decentralization. So I invite you to sign up as a citizen and through Patreon and support the community and the initiative via a $10 a month citizen contribution. But my interest is to be a facilitator, to be Swiss neutral, to encourage these projects. And by the way, I would like to mention that, you know, even if you do not apply for the Arizona or the Applied Research Center's project, even if you, excuse me, yeah, even if you apply and your application is not accepted, there's still a rich opportunity to meet other people and to collaborate, help with their projects, introduce your own projects. But a big part of moving anything forward is to get people together, to exchange ideas, exchange talents. There's way, way too much for any one person to know and learn in this whole space. So we're going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate your time and attention if you're watching this recording. And I invite you to tune in next week, next Saturday, and follow along, see what there is to learn, who you can connect with, and learn a little bit more about funding opportunities that are available. So thank you very much. Have a great day.